Welcome back, boys. As the dawn of the college football season comes to an end, so does our fantasy season. So we're here to give you the season finale of a 2022 year 7 of our league weekly recap video, and we're also going to give a quick recap of everyone's season as well. So, like I said, welcome back. We bring you to the championship matchup, and we have two guests, our co-champions this year. We bring in both Nick Langley, our normal co-host of Cleveland Steamers, and Kevin Heilenthal of FaZe Kev. They join us as co-champions after a devastating injury to Damar Hamlin on Monday Night Football led to the cancellation of the Bills and Bengals game. And with this game being so close, we decided as a league to name both teams co-champion. We obviously hope that Damar Hamlin has a quick and speedy recovery. He was discharged today from the hospital and is heading back home to Buffalo. So that is obviously good news. But yeah, on a lighter note, we did crown a championship. So, boys, welcome to the show. And Kev, why don't you go first, and both of you give us the full recap of how this went down, how your whole season went down, and I can bounce back between week 16 and 17. We can take our time for the championship.
Yeah, for sure. For us on the FaZe side of things, I know that obviously these last 2 weeks it was stressful, just because it is a championship. We're there to win, and we're there to obviously hoist the trophy. But over the last 2 weeks, I guess it's been the really top tier players that came to play, and there's really only one guy that really showed up and clutched up for us, and it's Nick's favorite player, Austin Eckler. Other than the curse bets that Nick put down against that kid, he came through time and time again, and I as an owner, I really couldn't be more proud of it. And for the entire team, it was an entire team effort. There's no one individual person, obviously, that is above everybody else. We're all kind of one group. And obviously, with everything that went down, we're happy that Nick and the rest of the team were able to agree on kind of the things that we stand in and the place that we're in right now. So, again, it was a good team effort. Really, really happy with the results.
Yeah, and I'll kind of piggyback on that a little bit. I mean, as we were sitting there Monday night, kind of unraveling the whole Damar Hamlin situation as it was happening in real time, it really did kind of put into perspective, how like silly and insignificant, especially fantasy football can be, and even football in general. We're really appreciative and grateful that we were able to reach a resolution with FaZe Kev, just due to kind of the unnatured circumstances that surrounded that game. And at the end of the day, we were all just praying for the best for Damar, hoping that he's going to be able to get better. It sounds like he's having a pretty solid recovery so far. Still a lot of progress to go, but hearing that he got discharged today, getting him back fully conscious and everything a couple of days ago, I know it was a huge lift for a lot of people around the United States, a lot of people that watch football. So we were just really grateful to hear that. And again, really just putting into perspective, kind of the things that really matter here. But getting back into our little championship here, as Kevin pointed out, Austin Eckler did show out for him. As with all the curse bets we put on him, that guy did make us a little bit of chunk of change over the weekend. So I guess shout out Austin Eckler. But for us, it was really, kind of similar people that have been leading us the whole year. Patrick Mahomes has been our saving grace all year, our team captain, along with my main man, O'Diddley, leading the way, doing everything he can to bring home a victory here. Chubb's kind of been stifled a little bit with the Deshaun bringing in, but, he's just still able to scrounge out around 5-6 yards a carry. He's doing everything that he can. Mixon was big for us all year, didn't get to play in that last game. Stephon Diggs actually was a little bit of a letdown during the playoffs, but he was looking to have a mighty fine game on that Monday night game before, the unfortunate circumstances took place. Smitty was a big part of the playoff run for us. He was great. Terry was part of our playoff run. He was amazing. Freiermuth was great. Cam Akers coming in and filling in for Tony Pollard. One of the biggest parts of this team was depth. And that's kind of been one of our trademarks throughout, our sleeper years and our years before that, is always having good depth. And whenever somebody goes down, being able to have somebody to come in and replace them. So we're really proud of the team, how we performed those last final weeks. Really proud of just the battle we had against FaZe Kev. And then again, at the end of the day, really grateful that we were able to come to a resolution that fit both teams, just given the circumstances that surrounded that final game.
Yeah, so Kev, I wanted to give you a little bit more a chance to speak. Do you have any other words to say regarding the fight that it took your team to get you here? Obviously, not the happiest of conclusions at the end, but still an impressive feat this year, going 10-3 and
Yeah.
capturing your championship after 2 toilet bowl appearances.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I guess the word of the year for us is just scrappy. I think that's kind of how our whole team has been this entire year. I know that there have been some chances that could not have gone our way, and that's luck or that's effort. But I kind of aligned with Nick there where Nick is very deep in his talent pool. I think that on our side of things, we try and find gems in the rough. Almost, I know that's the current theme over the last couple of years with quarterbacks, especially. But I think this year, trying to hit on the Sun God, trying to hit on some other players that weren't exactly up to par with all of the rest of the talent pool. But I think in terms of us having to give them a chance to be on the team, be in phase, be everything that they can be, and just be themselves is what we preach, I guess, over here. So obviously the whole thing that came down on the season was really hard to take in, obviously, in terms of it's not exactly the ideal way that you want to end a season. But again, we can't be sad exactly about how it ended. So again, it's a good team effort, and I'm really, really happy that all the pieces all came together.
All right, Nick, any final quick thoughts on your entire season as a whole?
Yeah, as you were scrolling there, I remembered I forgot to shout out BA. Fuck yeah, BA. What a guy. Anybody else forget to shout out? Deontay Johnson hasn't been in the starting lineup since week 4, but god damn it, I'm excited he's coming back next year. And then we can get through this without shouting out. Scroll up to Odell. Scroll up to Odell, baby. Where is he? Where is he? Right there. That's the reason we do it. That's the reason we come into work every day. Right there. That's my guy. It's my muse.
All right, boys. Congrats to you both on a very successful championship season. This is both your second titles. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to add one to my name. But, congrats to you two nonetheless.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Trav. That's going to be it for me, though, boys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Kev. Have yourself a great night.
Let's
see the trophy one more time real quick before you get off.
Boys, this is what it looks like.
Lump, take notes.
All right, see you, boys.
All right. See you, Kev. All right. Moving on to the toilet bowl here. We had Francy Feast defeating the Philly Cheekles, sending the franchise that escapes the lake constantly into the lake once and for all. After week 1, this one is truly turning out to be a toilet bowl classic. Both sides only had one 20-point scorer, Derrick Henry for the Feast and Singletary for the Cheekles. And the score was something like 98-80, I want to say, something like that. Really not impressive. And second week, though, Francy Feast, they came to play a little bit harder. Mostert coming in with 21 points. And then Mike Evans, last-minute sub, 49 points as the Buccaneers finally looked like the offense they should have been all year, according to some people at least, and the Super Bowl run they had 2 years ago. Yeah, 49 points for Mike Evans really put him over the top. Blake had a couple nice performances, Goff with 27 and ETN with 25. But that would not be enough to overcome the deficit, and he would find himself jumping in the lake to serve the last place punishment. Nick, is there any thoughts you want to add to an epic toilet bowl matchup that we had this year?
Shout out Mike Evans.
I mean, that's all really that needs to be said, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean, he was a huge factor here. Big lift for Francy Feast. Francy Feast had those 3 weeks where they lost starting quarterback to season-ending injury for 3 straight weeks in a row. A lot of things going against them, but just to have that in the final week had to be extremely uplifting. Really happy for Francy Feast. They didn't have to go in twice. And Blake, this was your 5th time in the toilet bowl. It's about time, buddy. So, sorry.
All right. Now, quickly, we're going to touch on the other 3 games. First off, Sticky Mistakes defeated Pams in the Little Caesars Mediocrity Bowl. They were up about 110 after the first 2 weeks, and then that was just way too much for the Pams to overcome. So Sticky Mistakes wins 5th and the 5th pick this upcoming year, even though neither of those 2 teams has a first-round pick at least. And then second up, we had PC Principal defeating Wallace Pluto by 10 for 7th place. And then Glizz Mafia defeated us, Texas Size 10 fours by 21 to capture 3rd place for themselves. Now on to our updated top 10 list. We turn over to our master of coin. Nick, why don't you give us all the new records and everything cool that happened this year?
Yep. So just a little quick snapshot year in review here. The database is updated, most up to date now. I finished it yesterday. So there's going to be a link in the description of this video if you wanted to go and take a deep dive into league stats, your own stats, basically anything. Go to that link and you'll be able to have all the information there. But just quickly going over kind of some of the cool things that happened this year. We did have a little bit of a point increase this year, with defenses being able to actually score points. I believe quarterbacks went up a little bit, running backs went up a little bit with like the 40-yard runs. So a couple different ways to score points. And we saw a huge boom this year in points in terms of top 10 points in league history. Tyler setting our league record now of 225.41 points. And we had a total of 6 out of the top 10 points of the week scored in 2022 season. So shout out to everybody for putting up points. And do want to mention that we only have one instance where if you're on the top 10 list, you lose. And that happened to be Adam Kleckner of Sticky Mistakes this year in that epic battle against the Pams and Brendan Lemp, where Lemp put up 212 and Sticky Mistakes put up 199. So just wanted to shout that out. Just a kind of a weird occurrence that happened this year. Normally you put up 100 and 200 points, you win. That week you didn't. So, but shout out everybody for putting up points this week. Really awesome to see. Bottom 10 points didn't get any new updates. To be completely honest, if anybody shows up on this list in the sleeper era, you're a fucking bum. Okay? Like this should never be happening again. This list should never be updated. Okay. Lemp's 38 points in 2020 should be the outlier. No, this should never be updated again. So good job, everybody, not updating this list. Let's go over to the 10 largest ass whoopings. We had a couple this year. Tyler Cleesby in that week when he put up 225, had a 100-point differential against Adam and Sticky Mistakes. So that was the first time that's ever happened. That's pretty fucking cool. We also had a couple other top 10 largest ass whoopings this year in 2022, that being Adam over Cooper and Travis also over Cooper. So Coop, gotta stay a little bit woker, buddy. All right, you can't let that shit be happening to you twice in one season. All right, but awesome to see a couple of these coming through this year in our first ever 100-point differential. So shout out Glizz Mafia for that one. Also want to go over to the narrow victories as we had 2. One was one outside the top 10, but I did still think it was a little bit meaningful. First one was our game against Noah, where our defense scored 25 points to come back from the dead on Monday Night Football as we won by 0.83 points. That being the 4th narrowest victory in league history. And also, it's not technically top 10, but sue me. Number 11, Adam, and against Matt, and actually the exact same week as our game against Noah. Little fun fact: 1.57 points, 11 narrowest victory in league history. So we also had a couple of those this year. So just wanted to highlight some of those for this season on our top 10 list. And again, if you want to see any more of your own stats against people in the league, a bunch of different things, click on the link that'll be below in the description. It's there for everybody to view.
All right. Now, moving on, we are going to give a quick recap / criticism of everyone's season, starting from the bottom. So first up, we had the Philly Cheekles, who finished 10th this year. Nick, why don't you tell us what you think about their roster, where they can improve going in next year?
Yeah, so after the offseason of the Justin Herbert fiasco on if he should be kept by the Philly Cheekles, if he should not, there was definitely some quarterback controversy at different points during the season as Jay Herbo was benched last game of the season with the most on the line. And there were definitely a couple other instances where Blake was not happy with Jay Herbo this year. So definitely going to want to fix that during the offseason. Running backs look a little bit okay here. ETN as a building piece is kind of nice. But definitely need to sure that up as David Montgomery. I know that you think that he's like this incredible running back, Blake. He's not. Okay. So let's just get that out of the way here. Okay. Receiver, they had a couple injuries. Debo, D-Hop juicing up, can't be doing that next season. But definitely going to want to be a little bit healthier from Debo's standpoint. I forgot about Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, you're going to have to get him healthy. That's a big piece. So running backs actually might not look so bad here. Receiver room needs to get a little bit better. Tight end room has been a huge question mark from this team for a couple of years now. But other than that, just trying to get the pieces fitting together here. Can't be much worse than this year. So things definitely have to be looking up next year. So best of luck to you in the offseason here.
All right. Second to the worst team this year, we had the Francy Feast finishing 5-8. This team dealt with injuries all year. In the end, they did have Derrick Henry was out this past week at least. And then Kyler's been dealing with some injuries. Kyler got hurt playing video games this year. A lot of people have really been questioning his leadership style. And then really it was like, they can blame injuries all they want, but it was just really a lack of depth. Jerry Jeudy never ended up really doing much. Finished as wide receiver 18. He was supposed to be a cornerstone for them. No one else that really had you scared coming into the week on this team. So definitely gonna need to add more than that. Probably need more than just a 1-2 punch next year. But props to this team for finding a way to not end up in the lake in back-to-back seasons. All right. Third team up, we had Wallace Pluto 84. Nick, tell us your thoughts on this team this season and how they're built.
This team has a lot of really nice cornerstone pieces. Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Jamar Chase, top 3 receiver in the NFL. DK Metcalf, an incredible talent. Mark Andrews, one of the best fantasy tight ends out there. Justin Tucker, best kicker in the league. They have a lot of really great pieces around here. 2 things, Noah. Number 1, make sure your lineup's set each and every week, okay? No more out players in the lineup giving you 0 points. You're able to escape with the win this year. Weren't able to last year. Let's make sure to correct that next year. Let's get full lineups in there, baby. And then number 2, maybe a waiver wire transaction every once in a while. I know 5 defenses is fucking #cool now. Defenses win championships. Let's go, baby. But maybe a waiver wire claim. We haven't had one in 2 years. That's just my suggestion. Every once in a while, maybe throw a bid on. I don't know.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. 4th team up, we have PC Principal. Finished 5-8, calling everyone a towel the entire year. You'd think they'd come up with a second chirp over the course of 17 weeks, but apparently it's one size fits all for that one. A huge reliance on Bengals and Jets players this year. Really relying on the Jets players. They traded some of their picks. They traded a future first and a 3rd for James Robinson and for who else was it? Was it another Jets running back in there too?
No, he just picked up all the Jets running backs off waivers after.
Okay. Still heavy reliance on Jets running backs. Bengals are a little bit better than the Jets, obviously. The Jets are just a dysfunctional franchise. When you put all your eggs in one basket like that, you're just gonna miss sometimes. The ball can only go so many places. TJ Hawkinson, it was disappointing for Lions fans, at least. I believe he was disappointing fantasy as well. Tyreek, not the same in Miami as he was in Kansas City. Kamara, no one knows what's going on with him or how he hasn't been suspended yet. Rodgers has had beef with the front office of this team the entire time he's been there. they have done very little to inspire confidence in him, so it should be no surprise that he saw himself on the bench most of the season. It's hard to be productive when your own front office doesn't believe in you. Cordell Patterson, the old vet, he's been nice for time. Would have been nice this week, but probably don't want to be relying on him too hard. And yeah, just not a whole bunch else to write home about. This team is waiver wire phenoms, but that probably just means they have a lot of holes to fill constantly too. So it's probably a double-edged sword. Hopefully they're better coming out of the draft and auction next year instead of mid-season. All right, fifth, we got the Pams. They sold the house for Kenny Walker and then missed the playoffs. I mean, that's really the story of their team this year. They also had a really bad week 17, week 13, very much like they did 2 years ago. So it doesn't seem like the culture problems would have fixed there despite their one championship appearance last year. The running backs are good. Zeke is eating up a huge chunk of cap space too. I do believe they're done with that contract, so we'll see what they're able to do with that space. They have a lot of good running backs, but not like a ton of other huge star power. No great quarterback on this roster. So we'll see if they're able to figure it out. I still say it's culture issues. Nick likes to say fuck Lamb. I think there might be some truth in that. That's all I'm saying. Sixth team up, we have Sticky Mistakes. Nick, why don't you give us your thoughts on that?
No, again, this team has a lot of positives. Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Jonesy, Najee Harris, two great backs. The receiver room, Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson. We got Stephon Diggs from them, really good. Like this team has all the pieces. Okay, there's just those couple moments during the season where I don't know if Adam just needs to maybe turn the brain off a little bit. But trading a first round pick for a quarterback who didn't play for you the entire season, that's really the only negative I can really think out of this team. They didn't have great luck this year, but you can't be trading a first round pick at that point when you could possibly be in the Bijan sweepstakes for a quarterback who literally never played for you. So maybe think that one through next time.
That's probably some good advice. Next up, yours truly, Texas size 10-4s. We had a very similar season that we had last year. We were coming hot down the stretch, and then we ran in rivalry week, and things all fell apart, and we lose 4 straight to end up in 4th place. We had our normal 3 big dogs this year. McCaffrey, he really got it going after the trade to the Niners. Devontae took a little step back this year. He still had his big weeks, like you see at 35 here. But the Raiders' offense just held him back. I felt like there were weeks where he just couldn't get anything done. And then Kelsey is still Kelsey. He had arguably the best year of his career this year, although he was a little quiet in the playoffs. But I do think when we look ourselves in the mirror this year, we're going to look, and it's really going to be our ability to add a true running back 2 and wide receiver 2 to our lineup. We did end up scooping up Fields, and we had a nice tandem going with him and Smith. But yeah, we got to really add some more depth into our starting lineup for next year if we want to really get over the hump and get our first championship as a franchise, I believe. All right, third team up, we have Glizz Mafia. Nick, why don't you give us your thoughts on their roster?
Hell of a turnaround for Glizz Mafia. Starting out, what was it, like 1-4 or something, 1-3, something along those lines. Great job turning this thing around. This team's got a lot of good cornerstone pieces. Josh Jacobs, Swift, the 3 receivers, Higgins, Brown, CeeDee Lamb. They've got a lot of great pieces. They also have 3 draft picks coming into this season. So, one, great job turning this around this year and getting yourself out of the toilet bowl and into the playoffs. Like hell of a job there. And number 2, also great job building yourself up for the future. I think this team is one of those teams you're going to have to look out for the next couple of years as they're set up for success immediately and for the near future. So I'm excited about this team.
Very well put. We don't really need a hit on Cleveland Steamers or FaZe Kev because we kind of deep dove on them earlier. Unless, Nick, you have any final thoughts on either of those 2 teams?
Nope, no final thoughts there. Just want to say great season, everybody. Hell of a ride. Awesome. Now getting ready for NFL playoffs and everything. It should be a great time.
Yep, I want to thank everyone for tuning into these videos every week, giving us a reason to keep making them. We hope you enjoyed them. And thank you, boys, again for another excellent fantasy football season. Look forward to seeing you guys in July at the league meeting. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Peace out and enjoy some college football and NFL playoffs. Later.